can play with these parts. We're gonna create a character, like our psychedelic avatar of who we want to be when we show up in this space. And so, on the top right-hand side, there is inspiration, right? Who do you look up to? Who are your mentors? What are the places, like what inspires you about them? Are there places and activities, right? Like I am very inspired by the artwork of Burning Man. Some people are just, like Fawn, who is the clinical director at Nest, is a early morning riser, and she is like, if she doesn't watch the sun come up, it's like not a good day for her. And so she always wakes up like 15 minutes before sunrise and goes outside and drinks her tea and watches the sun come up, because that's what inspires her and reconnects her to the work that she does. So my question for you is, who inspires you? Who, like what inspires you? Do you have any mentors or role models? This could be fictional or in real life, right? There are some people who, I'm trying to think of like a good, anybody think of a good fictional character? Like Superman, right? Are people inspired by Superman? Like, are people like, who did you want to be when you were a little kid? You know, did you want to be a pilot? Did you want to like be an explorer? Or did you want to be like a garden witch and like make all your potions and tinctures and like grow things and like, right, all that like witchy trickster energy? And like, do you have any things that like dreams that are unfulfilled? Can we use this avatar to help us like embody those things that might be missing from our default world life? What brings you joy? Right? Like I love my dog. I miss her so much. I can't wait to like snuggle her again. And so she inspires me. Sometimes it's children. Sometimes it's, right, if you have your kids or if you have a parent or like a psychedelic mentor, like Ann Harrison, who started the Women's Visionary Congress. Like she's epic and like, woo, psychedelic elder woman, like solid. I'm inspired by her. I would love to embody some of her qualities when I go out and do this work. She started the Full Circle Tea House at Burning Man, and she does tea service as a way for harm reduction, right? And so I'm gonna ask you to, who and what inspires you?
What was her name again?
Ann Harrison. And then one of the things that I learned in burnout recovery when I got trained as a compassion, fatigue, and burnout specialist was to develop a really broad mission statement, right? Because if you work, the good example is if you work in a refugee camp and you have a stack of infinite paperwork where you are taking narrative accounts of genocide, like how the fuck do you not burn out and cry at the end of every day? You still cry at the end of every day. But if your mission statement is, I'm going to be present with anybody who's sitting in front of me, that can be enough. It doesn't have to be like, I have to take 30 accounts today, right? That is overwhelming and unachievable. How do we set good goals? And so for me, my mission statement for my life is to make the world a more compassionate place. So can I accomplish that on a daily basis? Not how many clients can I see, how well is everybody healing, what are the measurements? Like for me, it had to get down to something that's really broad and basic. And it's like, if I can go out in the world and like be compassionate and model that for my community, then I feel like I'm accomplished and valued. And so represents the deepest and best within you. Some people like, right, we all have different archetypes and avatars, and what's the next slide? Like, is there anything, a unique talent or gift? I have a really unique talent of hanging out with high people all day long without judging them. I never thought it would be useful, but like, I guess it is. And like most of my work is hanging out with people who are engaged in altered states practices, and so great. And this addresses and integrates your physical, social, mental, and spiritual needs. Being compassionate every day, making the world a more compassionate place, addresses all of those things for me. And should be written in an active voice, right? I want to make the world more. I'm going to make the world more compassionate. Oh wait, hold on, I'm gonna jump ahead to this because I kind of talked about like identity stuff. Has anybody taken the Enneagram? Yeah? Yes? Anybody never heard of the Enneagram? So the Enneagram is a personality typing. You can go online and take a free quiz. There are 9 different Enneagrams. What I have found in psychedelics and the harm reduction space, which is basically everybody's a 2. Almost everybody's a 2 if you're a therapist or a helper. The reformer, the achiever, the individualist. It's a great tool in helping you identify who you are, what your triggers are, what you look like when you're healthy and embodied, what you look like when you're unhealthy and in toxic relationships, and how it all relates, along with like the Jungian archetypes, right? And these are, if you look at the connection to other, lover, jester, everyman, or the like leave a mark, wanting to like be like researchers. People want to do like a lot of publishing because they want to like leave a mark on the industry. But for me, I end up in the providing structure of caregiver, being in service, sometimes the artist, depending on where I'm at. But I would say who are you? How do you show up? And whether you use Myers-Briggs or whether you use human design, or there's all these different ways to help you identify. And so really being able to, in this, identities and alignments, this is also, right, how do you identify? I identify as a Jewish woman, right? I'm in a female presenting body, therefore I personally identify as a female. Some people identify as non-binary. Some people identify as the opposite of their physical presenting gender. I'm Jewish. I'm 100% Ashkenazi Jew, according to 23andMe. And so I am not, my lineage is not like a Peruvian ayahuasca lineage. But my lineage is of like an ancient Jewish mystical, spiritual keeper, like rule keeper, and all of our rituals and work is done on a lunar calendar, and so I'm very much aligned with lunar cycles. I use a lot of tarot. I use a lot of crystals and rituals and lighting candles and so how do you identify what are your alignments? I'm also, I go to a lot of fish shows, and so I'm also part of the hippie jam band community. I am not a raver, I am not a house music person, but I am identified as a burner. And so for you guys, when you're filling this out, who are you aligned with? How do you identify your tribe and your adjacent tribes? So skills and gifts, what are the areas you excel in? What do you think you bring to the table? Are you a musician? Do you like to make food? Do you, skills and talents, I like hosting. I like creating beautiful spaces. I'm trained as a psychedelic therapist. I have an insane amount of drug knowledge just shoved into my brain for some reason. And so when I'm trying to choose my team of people who I want to do work with, it's I get to be the drug interaction expert, which means I don't need a drug interaction expert, but I also am not a musician. And so I love having people who are musical on my team, because if somebody comes to me in crisis, I also like having a gender balance and an age balance. I like having people who are elders that I get to work with and people who are younger who I get to mentor, and really being able to be all right, I'm the 41-year-old Jewish psychedelic therapist in my team. I'm gonna go out on missions together. Who else do I need on my team? Where am I lacking? that I can be like, here are the skills that I'm offering. And then triggers and challenges, which we talked a lot about, kind of like, what are you currently working on? Where are your biases, right? No, I don't like drunks. I have a trauma history around opiate addiction and loving people who are opiate addicts. That is something that is important for when I'm doing crisis work for other people on my team to know about me. And I do this for workplace resilience as well, in a less psychedelic realm. But it's important for your coworkers to know that, like, if you came from a really abusive, like a verbally abusive household and parents that yelled at you all the time, that people who raise their voice is really triggering for you. Maybe more, so maybe you have a shorter fuse around that than everybody else. And so that your team knows that if you have a patient or a client that is yelling, that they know, oh, let me step in and see if I can be in this space as a way to be able to support my other team members and know that I can take it when they can't. And how do we build that team together? We just did kind of the, oh, I put these up here because the Jungian and Enneagram is sometimes not the best ones, but here are some good psychedelic avatars, right? Therapeutic professional, there's like the shaman superhero, there's the rogue. I hate when they're on my team. I'm okay with that, with people that are like, right, there's a binary between Boy Scout and pirate.
Did you originate this?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks. The secret clown, I love that one too. Sometimes I get in trouble, but it's never anything bad. They're like the benevolent clown, but also the trickster energy. But the rogue, it's like, I'm on the same team, but I might not follow all the rules. I prefer to not make alliances. I kind of work in the shadows. I exist, and I'm glad that you exist too. But sometimes we don't play well together, right? Boy Scout pirate, like pirates don't follow the rules, but they still are out there doing the work. Boy Scouts sometimes follow the rules too much and never get any work done. But sometimes you need some pirates on your team to like go shut down that sound system. Like, because we can't shut that sound system down, but like if you're a rogue person, you can. And then there's like, you know, people who work in the nest, people who want to work in sanctuary spaces.
What would you suggest for someone who's just kind of lived a life of maybe like self-abandoning and not knowing who they are and kind of stepping into this like dark space and coming to this place where they're like, I don't know who I am right now.
The innocent?
Yeah.
Right. The innocent, I'm still engaging in a path of self-discovery. I don't really know who I am, and so I want to learn from others. I want the like, almost like a mentorship of being like, let me try to like work with a couple of these archetypes and avatars to be like, oh, like these are my people. Oh, like these ones aren't so much my people. And like being able, so like I would use like the innocent archetype, or the novice. Right, I'm here, I'm new, I'm growing, I'm learning, and like all of this is malleable, all of this is changeable. Like just because we put it down on paper doesn't mean that we don't grow from it. This is a wheel of self-care. It's a little mushy because I made the circles bigger but didn't align them properly. But when we talk about how we care for ourselves, we all don't get 100% on all of these areas 100% of the time, right? Like sometimes like the self-care around financial sustainability is not always great, especially in helping professions. Sometimes, you know, my spiritual practice has been off. I have it, meditation, right? Some people get really into meditation, then it like falls off, and then you're like, oh, I should meditate more. I should stretch more. That is a big one for me, especially because I've been traveling on airplanes where it's like, oof, like I do probably need like a solid yoga. Actually, I need yoga class. I need a massage. I want somebody to care for me instead of me caring for myself. But looking at like, you know, what is my self-care practice? How am I eating? have I drank enough water at this very high altitude that my system is not used to? You know, so where are the areas that I need to work on? Where are the areas that I'm not? But like, what am I doing for my self-care that I feel like I want to share with my team? Hey, like, I should journal more. So like, as my friends, hey, did you journal today? I want you to hold me accountable. And so how do we share that? Love languages, anybody not familiar with love languages? Also a great tool similar to the Enneagram, which is how we give and receive love, right? I love getting compliments. I really do. I love giving compliments also. Words of affirmation are like high up there. Of like, good job, you did great. I kind of mean, as a boss, like at Nest, like I tell my employees like every day, I'm like, thank you so much for showing up. You're doing such a great job. You're showing up for your clients and like they need to hear it because they're not hearing it from other people, especially when they have clients that are yelling at them. You know, touch. Like I love getting massages, and so I'm a big, but I also don't love giving massages that often, right? And so how do we give and receive? And on here, it's like a how do we give and receive love? And it's important to tell people that because if you know that, if you know that you like receiving gifts, or if I know that you like receiving gifts and you're on my team, then like I'm gonna show up with like I carry around gold stars with me. Like I also carry around googly eyes with me, but like that's the trickster side of it. But like sometimes like just putting a gold star in somebody's shirt like makes their fucking day and shifts them around like that. And so being able to know how we give and receive appreciation, super valuable, also something great to share with your team. And then there's two of these. I have 9 minutes left, great. Roots to safety. This social worker developed, I will email this to you guys tonight so you can read it, which is instead of love languages, when we become dysregulated, how do we return to a sense of safety? And there are 8 categories, like inner guidance, like journaling and meditating. There is sensory experiences, like fuzzy blankets and good smelling candles and incense. And some people are like, screw that. I like want to go into a cabin in the woods and not do anything for a week. And like, you know, being in it, like in isolation helps us reset. And some people get reset by being in community and sharing and talking. And so having, like, how do we, if we are dysregulated, if we experience trauma, if we see somebody have a really extreme medical emergency, like, how do we re-ground ourselves to get back into it? So, structure and certainty, oh man, I love, like, organizing a good toolbox, or like reorganizing my craft supplies when they get out. Like, it makes me feel good when all of my markers are in this drawer and all of my paint things are in this drawer, and like when it's jumbled, I can't think straight. And so creating like a sense of structure and certainty, really helpful. Quality relationships, being reflected by other people. Protective measures, like someone defending you or somebody saying, hey, like, you can't, like, please don't yell at this person. Oh, thanks for standing up for me. Thanks for seeing me. Closeness and proximity, like hanging out with friends. Private retreat, right? These two are opposites of each other. And then common humanity, being heard and seen, laughing with others, comedy. Some of the best parts of doing harm reduction crisis work is being able to laugh, like is to create like brevity around it and to create lightness around it and to like, yeah, it is like you're like fish kicking feet, like it is kind of silly, isn't it? Like you're giggling about it and like it's okay to have lightness in the situation. And so being able to decompress and laugh and have your emotions validated, great. And then the last one that is on here, and maybe I'll dive a little bit more into it tomorrow, like at the start, is NEST is an acronym for the Network of Emotional Support Teams, right? And so let's build a nest together. Who's on your team, right? And in your nest, like the people who I go for professional support are not the people I go to for familial support, right? And so we have workplace support, we have romantic intimate support, we have like domestic life planning support. Like who are the people that when you are dysregulated that you can call on to say, hey, I'm feeling dysregulated and I need your help. And if you're doing that for them, like if you're reaching out to them, is that reciprocal, right? In a therapeutic relationship, I might be in my client's support system, but they're not in mine, right? And that's okay. Like my therapist is for sure in my is the person who I call when I am in crisis, but she doesn't call me in crisis. But she knows that I call her in crisis and that she's in my nest. Like my girlfriends, who have a lot of my closest friends are people who also responded to fatality calls with me because we're trauma bonded in that way. And I have my two girlfriends who responded to like a really traumatic call with me. And we have made it a point that we have a video call with each other at least once a month, just to check in to see what's going on in life and like support each other through that, and breakups and pets dying and successes. Dragonfly, who is in my nest, just is opening up a second location for her dog grooming business, and she called me and she was like, am I making a mistake? Am I overextending myself? Like, can I just talk it through with you? And I was like, of course. Like, yeah, that's what, I'm in your nest. I'm gonna show up for you. And so when you build your nest, it's also really important to like let people know that they're the person that you call when you are in crisis, and are they okay with that, right? Because we have those friends who trauma dump, and we have those friends who will just, you know, call you and just start talking and be like, hey, this isn't a good time, like I'm making dinner right now, or I have a client in 5 minutes. So the other things would be creating boundaries, like regularly scheduled or on call. As a therapist, I'm not always available if you call me. I'm in a client session. I'm also not going to cancel my clients. And so a good thing if you need support from me is to send me a text message saying, hey, I need to talk through something with you. When is a good time? And I'll be like, oh, cool, I can call you at 7 tonight. Does 7 work for you? Cool. I put it on my calendar. Or I can say, I'm slammed. I can't do it. I need you to reach out to somebody else. And what we find, especially in cisgendered heterosexual relationships, is oftentimes the female presenting partner in that relationship becomes the like sole emotional support person for their partner, and then that partner just overwhelms them with need for emotional support. So the goal is like, how do we create a team of 5 to 8 people that if one person isn't available, you can reach out to the next person on the list. And sometimes like you need the different perspectives. So reciprocity, right? Two-way street. Or if there's escalation, if somebody is actively expressing self-harm or suicidal ideation, how do you escalate? What is the consensual thing? We talked about that around like medical emergencies, like when do we call, right? Who's involved, right? There are some people out there that have very abusive families of origin who they don't have contact with, and we learned about this full circle, harm reduction in the AIDS crisis, is calling somebody's parents when they don't have a relationship with them is not actually helpful. It actually makes the situation worse. And so if you're building a nest, like who's involved in crisis management? Do you want me to call your parents or not? Do you want me to call your siblings or not? Or is this like I haven't spoken to them in years, please don't contact them, that's going to be a horrible situation that's going to escalate. And so really being able to talk to people about who your support people are. And so your homework for tomorrow is